Well, former Prime Minister Scott Morrison could face Parliamentary Privileges Committee over the secret ministry saga. Greens leader Adam Bandt will lead the charge today after a motion to censure Mr Morrison passed the House of Reps yesterday. Let's bring in now the Shadow Foreign Minister, Simon Birmingham. Simon Birmingham, thanks for your time. In the other place, opposed to the Senate, the House yesterday moved to censure the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. He gave a pretty vigorous defence. What did you think of his defence, and do you think it was important to have this censure motion but now move on?
LJ, I can't say that I sat there watching the debate in the House. We were pretty busy in the Senate yesterday trying to deal with the potentially job-crippling and strike-driving industrial relations reforms of the government. But is it important to move on? Not quite. It's important that the government act on the recommendations of Virginia Bell and of the Solicitor-General. These are recommendations they've had for months and months and months. So we should fix the problems that were identified as a result of Scott Morrison's appointment to administer different departments. Make sure that transparency is guaranteed in the future. The government's had the recommendations for months to do that. Rather than continuing the political games, they should just get on with the legislative fix.
OK, how do you fix this issue, apparently, with Stuart Robert? Do you think there's more to see here? Is he your side of politics' biggest liability at the moment?
Stuart, I understand, has denied any wrongdoing. It's for him to address any questions or issues there, but he's, I understand, made statements in that regard. OK, but you don't have any concerns about it? So he needs to address any questions that are there, but my understanding is he's done that.
OK, we'll see if we can get some questions to him then. Senator, let's talk about energy now. The government has been promising to solve this energy price problem for quite some time. You know how complicated it is. When you talk about price caps, well, you can do that on gas, but you really need to do it on coal. Would you support a scenario where the federal government imposed price caps on coal in order to bring down electricity prices, but then compensated the states for doing so?
LJ, we've got a government scrambling here who had a budget some weeks ago, and if they had an energy policy, they should have sought to release it in their budget, but it seems instead that they've been internally divided, tearing themselves apart about whether they're going to have new taxes, and whether they're going to make new payments, whether they're going to have huge regulatory intervention or the like. All of these things would, if enacted, create real challenges in terms of the future supply of energy in Australia, particularly the future production of gas, because they would act as a disincentive to investment and to growth. The critical part that has to be done here is cooperation with the companies to make sure that immediate supply in the domestic market is sufficiently available to drive down those spot prices. And I believe there's been some improvement in that in recent weeks while the government's been dithering and divided. But also then critically, to ensure we don't face these problems again, they should reinstate the measures that were in the budget to help to drive supply into the future so that Australia can have the guaranteed supply where we aren't having debates about whether we choose between meeting our export markets or delivering into the domestic market. We are an energy-rich country who should be able to do both to get the export wealth that helps to fund so many of our social services and to deliver energy in sufficient volume in the domestic market to keep prices competitive in this country.